Hey, Dennis here. I want to welcome you back to the channel, and today I am inside. It is snowing like crazy out there, and let me show you that. So I'm going to take this opportunity today to update a video that I did a while ago that actually is about all of the gear that I carry when I'm out plein air painting. That video is seems to have gotten a lot of interest lately, and the interesting thing is I've made a number of changes since I made that one. So this is a great time to stay inside and still share something with you. So I'll show you what I take in the field. So here's my backpack, and if you've seen any of my videos, you've seen this backpack, of course. And this was one of the primary reasons why I decided to use the EZL Classic Mini. I wanted to be able to fit that in this backpack, as well as everything else that I use, and I've even added some things since getting that still fit in here. I'm not sure how much longer that may continue, but I'm going to do the best I can to still keep my gear as compact as possible. So I think what we'll do is just go through what I currently have in my backpack, and so you can see what I carry with me when I'm out painting. In the front here, you can see my secondary camera. It's a Canon PowerShot EL PH160, and this is primarily used for all of my mostly my B-roll and stuff like that. When you see me walking down a trail, or sometimes I'll have it stationary in the middle of the trail and I'll walk past it, and so you'll see that. So obviously, if you're just a plein air painter that is not making videos, which I'm sure is the majority of you, you're probably thinking, what does that have to do with me? But I wanted to just show you, because I know some of you may be interested in seeing all of the gear that I carry. So I'm going to include all the equipment that I use to actually make my videos. So this is a primary component, and it's on a Joby tripod, which is a bendy tripod. I think I got this on Amazon for maybe 20 bucks or something like that. It's great because it'll wrap around tree limbs, it'll wrap around posts, it'll you can put this just about anywhere. And the camera, I think, this shoots 720. I think it's 30 frames per second, which is actually what I publish on YouTube. So if you wanted to get into shooting some video while you're out painting, this is a great way to start, because it's like $100 and a $20 tripod. And so if you were interested in shooting some video and uploading something to YouTube, this might be a good option for starting. This particular Canon EL PH160, it's like $100, and you'd be with a secondary tripod, you'd be off and running. So so I'll set that aside. In the front, gotta have snacks. I always try and keep at least 1 or 2 of these in the bag, because I've noticed when I'm painting, I'm typically not eating. So I'm not one of those who has an easy time like taking a break, having a sandwich. I'm terrible at that. So at least when I have these along, I can break one of these open. I can eat this while I'm still, at least looking at my painting or looking at the scene, or because I have a really hard time, and I don't know how many of you experience this, but I have a really hard time like disengaging from the painting process when I'm there. Unusually though, when I'm painting in public, I don't seem to have as hard of a time when I'm interrupted by people. And I think it's just because of my passion for sharing what I'm doing, that's really easy for me to stop and pause and talk to people about what I'm doing. But when I'm out by myself and I'm feeling hungry, I go for this because I don't like to stop. So so we'll set that aside. Let's see. This I'll get to in a minute. In the bottom here, I carry. I'm recording right now on a Hero 4 Black. It's a GoPro, and I'll give you a look at that as well. Let me get my other camera here. So this is what I'm currently shooting on, and you can see the tripod that it's on. So it's sitting on a ProMaster FW20T tripod, which is extremely lightweight, and I like it a lot because it doesn't take up a lot of room. It's very light, and it's primarily, well, actually not primarily, it is exclusively my camera tripod. And I carry it in this small bag here. So that's one of the things that I have along. I have 3 of those bags, and I'll show you those in just a second and what's in those. But we'll continue on here. It looks like I've got a few of my batteries left over from when I was doing my 30-day nocturnal series. I went through a few of these batteries in my nighttime painting, so those are still hanging out in here. So we'll get into the front pocket here, and in this pocket I have my my off, which is for mosquitoes and bugs and ticks and other things I experience during the summer here. It doesn't have to be in my bag right now. I'm just too lazy to kind of take it out, so but it's there for now. I have my this is what I lock my tripod down to the ground with, and what I do is I take it and I screw it into the ground. It's really for chaining a dog to when they're outside. And then I use a bungee. I have a couple of these, and I just attach this from the ground up to my tripod that I paint on, and this keeps my tripod from getting blown over in the wind, which for any of you that have had that experience is not that cool. I don't recommend it, so don't try it. Don't try painting in the wind without something like this to hold it down. Now, when I'm painting in an area where I can't actually screw this into the ground, like on asphalt or sidewalk or something like that, what I actually do is I will take the bungee and I'll put that on my tripod, and I'll actually loop this through my backpack like that, through the loop here. And then I'll actually use this as a hang weight, on my tripod, and this will actually do the same thing when I'm on a hard surface. So there's those 2 things. And let's see, what else do I have in here? I have my warranty on my backpack, because Eddie Bauer will replace your backpack. It basically has a lifetime guarantee if you have an Eddie Bauer backpack, and so one of the requirements is having your warranty. So I keep that in a plastic bag right here in the backpack so I don't lose it in case something happens to it. And then I've got some hot hands. I don't typically have a problem with my feet. It's usually my hands and my ears. If I can keep those warm, I'm usually in pretty good shape. So in the wintertime, I'll use these hot hands. They work great. It's like 8 hours of heat, and this will save the day for sure. So got some of those in here. Alright, so that's it for that pocket. Now in the top pocket here, I keep my my brush washer, and just a little brass hook that I made that fits onto my easel, and you've seen that for sure. And I have my my medium, which is this is half stand oil and half terps, and this works really good for me. And as a it's nice and slick. It releases the paint really nice when you're trying to go over top of thick paint with more paint. It's phenomenal for those finishing stages. And I know that there are like so many different types of mediums out there, and this just happens to be my favorite. My friend Richard Jordan shared this with me, that this is what he does, and so I tried it, and it's worked for me ever since, so no reason to experiment with that. If it works, right? And let's see what's in the next compartment here. So we're in the middle compartment, and there's this. I'll get to that in a second. This is my brush holder. This also comes from Artwork Essentials. It's EZL, and paper towels are in this middle compartment. And then I have my my bag of paints, and all the way down here in the bottom, sunscreen. I'm terrible at this, but you know I wear my hat most of the time to protect my ears, and but I do try and use this when I'm going to be in some serious sunlight for a long periods of time. I try and behave and use sunscreen when I can. Highly recommend it. All right, so that's it in the middle compartment, and I'll show you. This is just a Husky canvas bag that I got from Home Depot, and I've had it with me for years, and it works great for this purpose. And so my paints don't get scattered around, and if one of them happens to break open and stuff like that, it's no big deal. It all stays nice and contained in here. But I'll show you what I'm using here, and it might be what's the best way to do this? Oh, well, I'll just show you. I use titanium white. I'll throw that on the floor. And by the way, if I could and I had the option, I would actually use all of my paints as M-Gram, but there's a number of colors that are not available through M-Gram. I really like the walnut oil that's used in this particular paint, and this titanium white is actually really awesome because it's just, the consistency of it is a little more like Permalba maybe, but it's just nice, and it's not real stiff, kind of creamy, and I love it. So just started using that not too long ago. And then let's see, I have a cobalt blue, which happens to be a Gamblin, and the reason I have a Gamblin cobalt blue is because I ran out, and when Michaels, when they have their 50% off and sometimes 60% off one regular priced item coupon, now that they carry Gamblin, I actually will go in and get just one tube of paint and use a 60% off coupon. It's phenomenal. You should do that if you can. Manganese blue, which I used a lot last year, and actually I've sort of replaced this with the blue combinations that I'm using now, but I do occasionally have it on the palette. Alizarin Crimson, I call this one of my staple colors. I use a lot of alizarin, so, and it is also M-Gram. Yellow Ochre. For some reason this tends to only be on my palette in the summertime, and I don't really know why that is, but it just doesn't seem to be colors that I find, or that I find useful. But mix this with Cobalt Violet and it's a phenomenal color. Cadmium Orange, this is another one of my staple colors that I couldn't do without, so And what I do, and I don't know if you guys do this, but for all of my staple colors, I actually keep a couple tubes on standby. And as I pull from my boxes that I have these in, I will actually place another order so that I've always got 1 or 2 tubes of my staple colors on hand. So that's a really good thing to do. Indian yellow, that's also a staple color. This one, as you know, I started using last year. I love this color. It's phthalo green, yellow shade. This is a green that that Holbein has, and tremendously versatile. And I really like it a lot. And it's going to be one of my staples going forward because it's really awesome. And so this one actually is the same. This is Horizon Blue, also from Holbein, and this color is in combination with ultramarine. I can get some color combos that actually sort of have eliminated cobalt blue and manganese for me. So this is a great color. And cobalt violet, which is also a Holbein paint. Then I'm using this full time on my palette now. That's an old Cad Orange, ultramarine blue. You've already heard me say this is one of my staples. It's always on the palette. And transparent orange iron oxide. This paint is phenomenal. Mixing this with ultramarine or mixing it with cobalt violet, or you can get some really rich darks with this. And for painting Michigan in general, this time of year, especially in the winter and in the fall, this is a very, very useful color. So when things get kind of brown and those natural grasses get that kind of light tan color, it's an awesome color. Viridian I don't really use anymore since I started using that yellow shade phthalo green. And let's see, what do I have? I've got some vermilion, which I was experimenting with last year, and I haven't used it since, so I don't know whether or not I'll go back to some of this during the summer or not, but that's in here. And then sap green. Occasionally I'll use sap green, but with the yellows that I have, which is I have a Hansa yellow here, which I've replaced with a Cad yellow lemon, and I don't happen to have that in here at the moment, but that's what's in my bag here. So, and then there's just some old tubes and broken palette knife. So I'll set that aside. All right, so back into the bag. Oh, this is a really cool bottle that you can get at the big box fishing stores. It's called an MSR fuel bottle. It's made for taking camping fuel out with you when you're camping for those fuel burning stoves and stuff that I don't know if it's kerosene. I don't know, same stuff you put in the lantern. But anyway, this is awesome. This thing has never leaked on me once, and since it's designed specifically for this, it's got a safety cap on it. And what makes it really awesome and robust is it just has a really nice O-ring in here that creates a very positive seal, and it doesn't matter what direction this gets thrown around. Never had a drop leak out of this. So if you're looking for a great source for what to carry your cleaner in when you're going out and stuff, this is an awesome bottle. And I think I got mine at Cabela's. So all right. So now to the last compartment. This is my brush case, and you can see, I use almost exclusively now Rosemary and Company brushes. I use 10 8, 6, 4, and 2 flats, and I'm kind of I'm a scrubber, and I like to use the side of my brush a lot. So here's a brush that used to be flat, which you can see now is already starting to take on a filbert shape, and eventually they end up like this, where that used to be a long flat. And this one comes in handy occasionally, but I don't get on this side very often anymore. And so I also have a couple of really nice riggers. These are the Eclipse riggers from Rosemary and Company. I have a number 4, and somewhere in here I also have a number 2, and these are really useful. These are great riggers, and I treat my brushes the same way that I do my paints, and this is really handy. Just takes good care of them. I keep backups on hand, so when I place an order, I try and place enough of an order that I can get through, you know, good 6-8 months of painting, and so I've got nice backups of brushes here. Okay, in the back here, these are my cardboard. This is an 11 by 14, and this is a 12 by 16. And what these are for is these are for putting behind your canvas. When I put my canvas on my easel, I use these behind it, and that keeps the sun from coming through, because I don't know if you've experienced that before, but when the sun hits the back of an open canvas when you're trying to paint, it just really messes with your values, and it's very hard to paint that way. So I just put this behind the canvas, then put it in the easel, and then it's all good. I don't have any issues with sunlight, so I try and keep those on hand. And then my paint box, my EZL Classic. And if you want to know more about this in general, I do a pretty extensive review on this, and I'll put that video right here, so you can click that if you want to learn more about the EZL Classic Mini. And so you can see the colors that I'm currently using. It's the Indian Yellow, Cadmium Orange, the Red Oxide, Alizarin Crimson, the Horizon Blue, Ultramarine Blue, the Cobalt Violet, and then the Phthalo Green, Yellow Shade, and of course Titanium White. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about this, because you can check out the other video. That would be really cool. All right. So that's everything that's in the backpack, and then I've already shown you the ProMaster tripod that the GoPro that I'm filming on happens to be pointed at me right now. And then I have this is my easel that I carry. My easel. This is my tripod, actually. And it's just a Sunpack Ultra Pro 423, and some of you have asked before in the past what you know, I did replace the head on it, because this is a much more robust head. It has a larger ball with a big knob, and it makes it really easy to hold it in position when the easel's on there. As a matter of fact, it's very solid. And it's a Per Gear TH3. I don't know if you can see that, but that's this is what I carry strictly for holding my paint box, and then I carry my umbrella. It's an Easy L umbrella, and it's really cool. It has a nice connecting piece on it here that rotates in all directions. And if you check out that same video where I talk about the paint box, the classic mini, you'll also see me talk about the umbrella and how it's held on and everything. And then there's let's see. All right, so I made a couple boxes like this for myself. They're just easy, just made out of plywood, and on the table saw I cut some slots in the sides, and so this holds my 8x10 panels that I make out of 1/8 inch untempered masonite. It's some places call it hardboard, and I take that and I prime that, and that's what I use to paint. I prime it with an acrylic paint, and that's what I use to paint on. It's just a real simple box with a couple hinges and a handle, and this one has seen some miles, but it works great. And I have one that I made for 8x10s, and I have another one that I made for 12x16s, and I made a third one for 9x12s. And so it's just nice when you take your paintings out into the woods and stuff, and you're trying to get back to your car. It just protects them and takes care of them, and I never have to worry about them when they're inside this box. So highly recommend something like this to carry your stuff around in. And so yeah, that's pretty much everything I carry, except recently, if you've seen two of my last 3 videos, you know that I actually got a drone, and so I'm doing some drone footage when I can. My very last painting, it was just too difficult, and I was real thick in the woods trying to paint that stream. This one here that you see I scraped the water out of, but that's going to get some work pretty soon, and I'm going to actually do a video of correcting this painting behind me. But I'll show you what I've got. It's a DJI Spark, and it's really cool. It fits nicely in this little case. There's an extra battery. I think there's some extra blades in here, and so far this is working really well. One of the things I added besides that is the controller, and I ordered a case this week that's actually going to hold all of this together, so I don't have to have a separate case. But this box just houses the controller, and no reason to the good thing about the controller is you can connect directly. You use your phone as a monitor. It holds your phone. You can connect directly from your phone to the controller, and the controller connects to the drone, obviously. But really cool stuff, and I'm enjoying learning how to do this, learning how to shoot interesting video with it, and hopefully you agree with me that it actually shows a nice perspective on some of the properties that I get to paint on. So so that's all the gear, and I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions at all, it would be great for just drop those down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them for you. As most of you know who do comment, at least for now, I try and answer every comment and respond as quickly as I can. And because having a YouTube community is a really big deal, and it comes with responsibility. And for those who don't look at it that way, they're making a big mistake, because we get to learn from each other. And I follow some of you on Instagram, so I get to see what you're painting, and some of you follow me on Instagram, and so you get to see what I'm painting, and I just learn a lot from watching and you know, following other YouTubers and stuff like that. But anyway, I know this video is about the gear I carry, so there you have it. That's all of my stuff, and I will catch you later.